You don't have to love and like everybody, but healthy adults are inclusive. What does that mean? That they never exclude anybody. A healthy adult is not a jealous adult. Like people, I know some people are like, oh, but jealousy, like that's a hallmark of life. I have a little bit of a tidbit for you. Actually, it's not. Jealousy is not a hallmark of life. This clip is so cute. It matches my dress. Jealousy is just not on the radar of healthy people. And I don't know, like as you go deeper into your like healthy life journey, you just don't have any admiration nor respect for people that use jealousy as a tactic. Because if you have to use jealousy or you imply somebody's jealous, then maybe there's something lacking within you. And that's another thing that I've been noticing ever since the panini, really. A lot of people that think they're like so socially clever, they're really not. Like, the panini taught us one thing, that a lot of socialization, I know people love to kind of bag down on like autistic people and talk about, oh, well, autistic people do this and that. But I've seen a lot of so-called neurotypical people who do some pretty, I don't know, not nice things. Like, I was talking about this on TikTok a little bit. But like sarcasm, for instance. I know some people think like sarcasm is witty. But sarcasm is the hallmark. The sarcasm is the hallmark of a well-adjusted, funny human being, especially an American. And I kind of disagree. I think, okay, I was sort of doing a deep dive on this, and I thought somebody said it really well. Oh, I like how it kind of like flares out like that. One man said, sarcasm is poor man's humor. It kind of is. So I'm not a fan of sarcasm. I'm not a fan of people that use any kind of like jealousy or exclusionary behavior. It just, to me, to me, it tells me you have so much growing up to do. What are you doing to build everybody up every day, all the way, everybody? Because you might not like somebody, but if you're not building them up, and if you're not maybe lifting them up a little bit more than yourself, then I think you have so far to grow. So far to grow. So far to go. So that was just one thing I wanted to say about that. And then I've been noticing, like, sometimes on live, some people think that they can say certain things that are nonsensical, and then they get rooty booty, and they think, oh, because I'm the only one in the chat, I gotta say this. I'm gonna boot people off chat and put them in timeouts from now on. I'm just gonna do it because, yeah, if you don't want to come to my live streams and act normal and have a good conversation, I'm not interested in that. I don't care how nice you pretend to be. You have to be consistent in words, thought process. The hallmark of a strong, healthy individual is everything you say is everything you believe, and it's consistent across the board. And if it isn't, you're lacking something somewhere at some time. But it's not our job to figure that out. It's your job to go grow up a little. So anytime somebody tells you, oh, were you jealous of so-and-so? Squash that. Walk out the door. Go outside. Go for a walk. Look at the trees. Don't talk to them. That might sound like, oh, you're like avoiding them. No, just, you don't need to engage with that. Like, just shut it down. Because I think anybody who believes in jealousy as an adult never grew up. Adults don't get jealous of each other. Adults don't try to make each other jealous. Adults, true adults, they might not be best friends with everybody, but they know kindness and they know inclusivity, which means they don't purposely exclude other people that they don't like just because they think that so this and that. A truly healthy adult would never be exclusionary. They just aren't. They're inclusive. And that doesn't mean you're everybody's best friend, but you include everybody. You don't create like any kind of dynamic where you're putting anyone down anyway at any time. And if you do, it says more about you than it does about that person that you're trying to put down. That's just what I say. So That's how I quickly see through a lot of this behavior. And I kind of see sarcasm as that. I know some people are like, it's hyperbolic sarcasm. Like, well, here's where I could see, like, if somebody was being sarcastic and I saw a video like that, I'm not going to call them out and be like, hey, you're kind of like not funny, or you might be hurting somebody's feelings. I might just say to myself, this person seems a little too like insular in their viewpoint. They don't seem very open-minded. It's weird. I heard some weird noises. Okay. They just don't seem like an open-minded cookie, like, right? And I don't care how intelligent you are or how well versed you are. There are people that are just not open-minded because they think that they have everything on lockdown. And anybody that's that certain or lets you know that their way is the only way, highway, humans are not gods. There's no human that's a god. And they're crazy sauce applesauce, really, and have a lot of growing up to do as a human being. So to me, I don't even see the point of engaging with people like that. I think you just need to go for a walk and look at the trees. For me, I don't know. I just love this introverted take on it. But from now on, it's like anybody who comes to my lives and they want to act silly and leave weird comments, there is a block button, there's a deletion button, and I'm not one of these people that just likes any kind of garbage on my channel. But anyway, that was just what I was going to say about that. Like, I'm looking for people that want to have fun, good discussions. And if that's not you, then keep moving along. I don't know, there's a lot of other videos on the YouTube and the TikToks that love drama, that love arguing, that love all that crap. I don't, but I do like the way my hair's looking. I don't know why I get so philosophical. It's just like my mind is philosophy. My mind is like, I'm always doing things with my body and my mind. And I feel like you need to do both. You can't just work one. You need to do both. Like, you need to be active and you need to use your mind. And some people think if they're too active, they can't use their mind. But lately, I've been challenging myself to push myself mentally, to learn new things, to always be very detailing oriented, while also lifting a lot of books and things. I don't know. That's just how I roll. I don't think most people want to push themselves like that. I've been pushing myself more and more, like time-wise, being very, very, like, just being responsible and reliable. And to me, like, that is so much more important than all these other things that society thinks are important. It's just not. Like, strive for the more sacred thing, you know? Strive to be consistent. Every word that you have ever uttered needs to be true. It needs to be true, consistent. Don't ever say something that you don't mean. Because if you do, nobody will ever believe you. You have to believe everything you've ever said in this lifetime. And if you don't, then, I don't know. You have so much growing to do. But it's not my job to figure that out. It's my job to go quiet on my western front and back in. And I excel at that. I just don't have time to worry about, like, things that, like, I'm not worried about trying to be a socialite. I'm on YouTube to share my journey, not to be a socialite, not to have all kinds of comments, and not to engage with all kinds of ridiculousness. Like, some people just really want to be weird. They want to say weird things. And it's not my problem. Like, if that's your cup of tea, you will soon believe or find you just don't have a place on my channel. You won't have a place. So, yeah. That's why people who leave weird comments, they just don't get a response. Or I'm just telling them, you're a dodo head. I don't know. Or just in real life or anything. But anyway, that's that in hat. I'm going to write a book one day. About everything. I don't know. Do I want to write a book? Probably not. I thought I thought I'd write a book, but you know, I don't know. Sometimes I think I want to write a book, and other times I'm like, no, not really. I just like doing YouTube. It's not that I never wanted to write a book, it's just I tried writing a novel once, and I wasn't that satisfied with it. It just wasn't what I wanted. Yeah. It's just an oversaturated market. I know a lot of people want to be authors, but I just feel like you have to have a really good story for it to excel. And if it's a pet project, I get it, but I just am not inclined to try and publish something that wouldn't have a large audience. Like YouTube, I feel differently about. This is my fun hobby, but somehow writing, I feel more serious about if I were to pursue that. Like I thought about it. I thought about, I don't know, my mind. Like I thought, hey, you could write a good story. You could really write a good story. You could, but man, I'm not really that keen on it. That little claw clipper kind of like tangled my hair in places. I gotta be more careful when I apply claw clips. I really do. I need to be more careful. My philosophical thought process. Sponge for my mind. Feels kind of cathartic, really. I don't know. It just does. And this is how I remain consistent, but yet grow in my whole life. Consistency. Being true to every word you ever say. That's the hallmark of a healthy human being. I love people that are consistent. Everything they say is the God-given truth, because if you really are a person of God, everything you say has to be true. It just does. I don't know. That's what I think. Not everybody's a person of God. A lot of people pretend to be people of God. But true people of God, I don't even think they go to church. They might go to mosque. I've said this before. I just think Muslims have spirituality more on lockdown than Christians. I don't know. I'm getting there. I'm getting closer, like, to being a reaver. I feel it. I just feel it. I want to surrender. I don't know. I'd be a Muslim. I don't know. I just don't feel ready yet. But I feel it in my heart. I'm feeling it more. It just feels right sometimes. Some people probably don't like that. Oh my God, how could you think that? But why do so many people convert to Islam? And why does Christianity feel so hollow? No. Because I don't know, it's just like the teachings of Islam, the spirituality, like the benevolent, like I'm not saying that Muslims say you can do whatever you want, but it's just like they have a certain approach to like spirituality that I just feel Christians lack. I don't know. But whatever, I probably am not going that way per se. I just have more respect. I don't have a lot of respect for organized Christianity. I just don't. I don't. Like it just does not resonate with me. Maybe like a more Middle Eastern type of Christianity that's more respectful towards Islam, I guess. But I don't know. I digress. Whatever. But I might keep going down that path of getting closer to Islam. I just feel it in my heart. I feel it in my heart. But more like the Sufi type of Islam is what I'm more drawn to. I don't know. See, once again, I do not really do organized religion personally. That's why at the end of the day, I just don't. I am a Christian, but I'm a completely unorganized faith type Christian. Like a person that looks for spirituality and communion with God outside of like the hypocrisy of organized Protestant Christianity, which is triple thing. Hypocritical. I don't know. And then I'll read things about Islam and I feel drawn to it, but like I said, I have not studied it deeply enough. I don't speak Arabic to where I could read the Quran to really understand it, but I have been drawn to some of it. Like there's just certain, like their whole thought process, like on hair donation. Like I don't believe in hair donation. And how come Islam just gets it right, but Christianity falls short every time? I don't know. And just like the whole concept of God, I don't believe in a Trinity. Like the Trinity is something out of Roman pagan religion where they used to worship pantheons of gods and threes. And I don't believe Jesus is God. A lot of Christians do, and I never did. I mean, and I'm not a Unitarian. I think I just have this very unique perspective, and I think that's where I get kind of drawn. Like I will say this, like most Christians would not like what I'm telling you, but because I had some exposure to the Jehovah's Witnesses at a young age, and then I read about the deists in American, like Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson actually had a lot of interest in learning about the Quran. He owned the Quran. Did you know one of the founding fathers owned the Quran? Like, I feel like there's something there. There's a reason for that. You know? I don't know. Feel like there's something. Then my ancestors in Syria were Christians, and I mean in general the Christians and the Muslims and the Druze lived in happy coexistence up until the end of the Ottoman Empire when there started to be more friction. But a lot of that had to do with European influence, really. It's interesting. I just have so many different takes on things, but once again, I guess I'm just a non-organized religion kind of person. Can I tell you the thing that I feel about Christians that I just don't really get? I don't like. Like they'll say things like, I'll pray for you. But I never see a Christian that just does acts of service for their fellow man in a way where they want to build others up. Like I have just came across a lot of cliquey, a lot of just like backbiting Christians, even though Christianity says they don't believe in gossip, and they even say that in the New Testament how women shouldn't gossip. But in Islam, they actually preach that, like not to backbite your brother. And I do see that lacking in Christianity. And I guess just the experiences I had like with organized religion as a kid in the Christian denomination form, it's not enticing. And this is why a lot of people have left the churches, have left Christianity. And that's why Islam's growing and Christianity isn't really. There's a reason. And people, I started thinking about those things. I've been thinking about that for a long time, like since I was young. I was like, why is Islam such a fast-growing religion? Like it started catching in my mind. Like I started thinking about it when I was a child, really, like when I was 13 or 12. And I don't know why, but that was just a thought that came to my head. I'm like, why is that religion growing, but Christianity isn't? I don't know. I just think about these things. So I need to do more exploring, but I don't think that this is the answer. Like, I'm sure like hardcore Muslims don't like my answer, but actually there's a lot of receptive Muslims that encourage you to learn about Islam. Whereas, okay, this is another thing about Christianity that I really don't vibe and jive with, the westernized Protestant form. So I remember when I was a college student, like, nominally Christian, I do believe in like everlasting life and all that, but like, do we know exactly what that's going to look like? And there are some people, they interpret that like to say, oh, you have to say exactly what's going to happen to you the next day. And then this one Christian guy was just so rude to me because I didn't say right away, like, that I thought I was going to go to heaven in the way he wanted me to say it. And that's just so off-putting. Like, do Christians not know how off-putting they are? Because Muslims just don't do that. They don't do that. Jews don't do that. I don't see Orthodox Jews like trying to convert people. In fact, if you want to become an Orthodox Jew, you have to like go to them and basically like plead to like join the synagogue. And that's just to start taking classes. And with Muslims, like, Muslim people are friendly and they might, if you're interested in their religion, they'll teach you about it, but they're not like going out on the streets and saying like real confrontational things. And people are like, but that's because the New Testament says you have to preach the gospel this way. But not necessarily. And there's a lot of Christians that don't do that. And it never vibed and jived with me. And I think, oh my goodness, the Jehovah's Witnesses really turned me off that, because they would go door to door and they'd be like passing around that magazine. And then when I was a little bit older, I learned about how that religion's wacky woodle, because it was started by this guy who thought the world was going to end in 1914. Like, he predicted that the world was going to end, and he was married to this woman, but then they got a divorce or something, and I don't know, because he was really in love with one of his proteges, but yet he was the Charles Taze Russell guy that started this religion, was hiding because he thought the world was going to end. I mean, I don't know. I just think that's kind of, a lot of these millenary religions in the U.S., like, a lot of people, they belong to these religions, but they don't research it. They don't know why. They don't know why, like, they probably don't even know what a millenary religion is. I looked into this stuff when I was a teenager. I was like, what is a millenary? It's because they believed that the millennium was coming. Like, even the Seventh-day Adventists preached, and so did the Mormons. They all preached, like, a version of this, and they thought the world was going to end at the beginning of the 1900s, or in the 1800s. And guess what? The world didn't end. They keep saying the world's going to end, the world's going to end. And there's been some Korean cults that said the world was going to end. So, I don't know. You just get that a lot in Christianity. And I'm like, I'm so over it. I'm so over it. You have so many Christian groups, they're always saying, the world's going to end, the world's going to end. And I don't know. I don't like to talk about religion too much. I don't usually talk about religion. But, I don't know. These are just the thoughts in my head about faith and religion. But anyway, and at the end of the day, a lot of people want everybody else to observe God the way that they do. And I guess I don't want to force that on other people. Like, I believe in free will, and I do believe in God, but I just don't feel the need to go tell everybody, you need to believe in God today and don't be an atheist. But I'll never be an atheist. And I'm getting, like, more comfortable with saying, like, I don't know, 15 years ago I used to be like, I don't want to talk about how I believe in God, because you would be on these forums and people would be talking about this, like, ridiculous thing like the spaghetti monster and how they were atheists and acting like it was so hip. And it made you feel like, oh, I can't talk about believing in God, and you would be belittled for that. But I don't know. Spirituality is a very personal thing. It's a very personal thing. I just don't vibe and jive with a lot of groups. And this is why I'm not a big fan of the organized religion thing. I'm just not, because none of them are like some sort of shining, beautiful example. Like, I don't know. And I think organized religion really appeals to very social people that love being part of a social group. And honestly, like in the past, you used to have to go to church and sit there for 4 hours. Like that was mandated, okay? Especially in like colonial America. Like you couldn't miss, or you'd be going to the stocks or something. And I think nowadays, like nobody wants to sit in church for 4 hours while some guy gives a gibberish sermon. Like, and that's the Sabbath day? I don't know. Some people probably are like, how can you say this about God? But I do believe in God. I believe in the beauty of God. I love to walk home on the nature trail and look at ducks, God's creation, and take little videos of them and just think about the beauty of God and how He created the earth and the heavens and the sky and the trees. And I think about that kind of stuff. That's my spirituality. And just like I believe like long hair growth is a form of like spiritual journey. Like I have a lot of thoughts on these things. But you know, I'm not going to tell people what to think because I don't really care. Like I don't really feel it's my job, and I don't feel like I don't have a conviction to make others feel as I feel. A lot of people do, and I guess that's just why I don't really get organized modern Protestant Christianity. The Catholics, they're not as bad actually. Like I've been to some Catholic services and they're not all like that. They're not out there like knocking on your door trying to convert everybody. The millenary Protestant Christians in the U.S. a little too zany, you know, a little too zany. Had a lot of interesting experiences as a kid. If you was an adult, made me kind of be like, yeah, I'm not that interested in you guys. I will follow spirituality in a more introverted way. And you can be spiritual in nature. You don't need to go to an institution to commune with God. I mean, you can. Of course, you can go to mosque or church, but if you believe in God, God is there all the time. You know? It's true. And you can talk to God at any time. These are just my thoughts, man. It's not for everybody. It's for me.